All right. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you could join us for tonight's guest Edu Rockstar GHO with Alice Barr. Billy is on his way. He had some meetings to attend to in San Diego. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you could join us for tonight's guest Edu Rockstar GHO with Alice Barr. Billy is on his way. He had some meetings to attend to in San Diego. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you could join us.
Wow. Do you have it open in multiple screens?
I did. Okay. Anyway.
Well, we know it's live, everybody.
We are very much on the internet.
That was pretty great.
That made me think of when I was testing earlier and I had myself on like 3 different Google accounts in my house. So anyway, I was thinking about how to introduce Alice tonight and reflecting on my own experience with Google Apps. When I first started teaching 6 years ago, a lot of schools were migrating over to Google Apps for Education, adopting Gmail accounts, Google Sites for their districts, Drive, or actually it was still the days of Docs before it went back to Docs, was just emerging. And now, just in the span of half a decade, I count on Google Apps or the G Suite to seamlessly integrate almost everything I do in my classroom, from pushing out assignments to organizing my agenda, sharing files with students and colleagues, and moments like this, connecting face-to-face when we can't actually be in the same room. And there's no one I trust more than Alice from Yarmouth Schools, a Google certified innovator, to share the deep Google ins and outs, tricks of the trade, and answer any questions you may have that Billy and I may not be able to answer, or perhaps Alice could answer with less babbling. So without further ado, Alice Barr, it's all yours.
Thanks, Becca. Well, thanks. And wow, it's nice to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me. As Becca said, I work in Yarmouth. I'm the high school instructional technology integrator, which means I work with grades 9 through 12. Our kids all have laptops, and the G Suite, or you've also heard the term Google Apps for Education, G Suite has saved us and let us do some amazing things that I don't think we could have done without it. It's one of those set of tools that allow our students to be collaborative, to work in teams, have a lot of flexibility. I know that your school, USM, uses it as well. And so we'll touch a little bit on some of it. So anyway, and then Becca also noted that I'm a Google certified innovator. Google has various levels of certification that you can work on if you really get hooked on these tools and see their value. There are 4 levels of certification that you can do. There are little mini online tests. You can get level 1 certified, level 2 certified, then you can become a trainer. And all of those are online tests. And then to be an innovator, it's actually an application process with a project that's due. So it's really exciting. It's connected me with a lot of people around the world that I never would have met otherwise. So it's been a great opportunity. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen in a second. I will give you the link to the presentation, although I would recommend that you not play it while you're doing this Hangout because it'll get really sort of convoluted, but it's for you to use afterwards. I do have some things we're going to do collaboratively together. So hopefully you're using Chrome or Firefox as your browser. Windows Internet Explorer doesn't work very well with Google tools. So, if you can't do it, it's fine. And then the other thing I just want to make sure that you know is that please feel free to ask questions as we're going along or pop things in the chat. I won't be able to see you while I'm presenting, so Becca can grab some questions if we need to. Okay, so anything before we start?
I'm ready.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to go up here and share my screen. And hopefully you can see this. Can you see that okay?
I can. Yep, we got some nods.
Okay. So this is a Google slideshow. As I said, this will be available to you. So in blue is a link. It's goo.gl. And then those letters and numbers, those are case sensitive. We can also, actually, why don't I just stick this in the chat so that you have it. And maybe I can do that. Nope. Doesn't like that. There we go. So there's the link to that for you. Okay. So my information is there if you want to get in touch with me. And best way is Twitter, and I'm at Alice Barr on Twitter. So you can send me a message. I usually get back to you pretty quickly. So let's just go over and again, Google Apps for Ed is what it used to be called. Google recently changed Google Apps for Ed to G Suite. So I'm going to call it that. Most people know about Gmail. But within your account in Gmail, you have access to, in the upper right-hand corner of the Google search engine, you'll see a waffle up there. And that waffle actually will allow you to, it will take you to the other sets of tools that are a part of G Suite. So right off the bat, you'll see these 12 tools. Now, yours might look different than mine because you can rearrange these. But you'll notice that you have a calendar, you have Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Maps, YouTube you're familiar with. And then if you click the little More button down at the bottom, there are more tools. So Blogger is a part of your Google Apps for Ed account, or your G Suite account. You have Photos, Translate, and on it goes. In fact, there's even more. And, you know, in the end, there's probably about, I'm going to just ballpark it at about 100 tools that are part of the G Suite just by, sorry? Sorry,
that was me just making sure that the YouTube stream is synced up properly. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So there are probably 100 tools that are available to you just by creating an email account. So it's pretty crazy. The ones that are mostly used in education is this set. So Mail, and I'm going from left to right, top to bottom. So Mail, Drive, Google Sites, Chrome, Classroom, and then Slides, Sheets, and Docs. So those are sort of the main tools, I would say, the ones that get used the most, and the ones that I'm going to talk about a few of these tonight. I could go on for a zillion hours about these things, but this will be a little scratching of the surface. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Chrome. And the thing that's important about Chrome is that obviously the tools work best in this browser because it's Google, because Google has built its whole system around Chrome. And if you are lucky enough to teach in a school that has Chromebooks, you're basically given a computer with a Chrome browser on it, and that's it. It's very different from Windows or the Mac in the sense that you can't save files to it in the same way. All of your stuff happens in the Chrome browser. When you set up your Chrome browser, in settings, if you actually log into your account and link your data, if your computer crashes and you need to log into another machine, if you log into Chrome, all your stuff will come back exactly the way you left it if your computer crashes. So one of the things I want to show you is just a couple tricks. So I'm in a Chrome browser right now. One of the things that I really like is the ability in Chrome to do things like pin tabs. So if Control or Control on both the Mac and the PC, if you Control click on a browser, you get a little sub menu here. This allows you to do things like pin your tabs. So you see how that tab just went flying over to the left. I can't blow that up, but it allows you to make your tabs get really small. And for each new tab that I open to the right now, those tabs that I pinned stay over on the left-hand side. And so my purpose for showing you that is I use those to keep my mail, my drive, my calendar, and my classroom all on that left side because I use them all the time and I want to get back and forth to them. Chrome also allows you to have extensions. And so I have 3 extensions here. I've already installed them, but basically extensions are little helper tools. And they live in a place called the Chrome Web Store. So the Chrome Web Store stores extensions that work with the Chrome browser, themes, apps, and apps are standalone tools, but they work with the Chrome browser. So they're really developed for the Chromebook, but they are little mini programs. For example, there's a video editor and there's a incredible anatomy program. They're standalone programs, but you get them here in the store. And much of these are free. So one of the extensions that I really like is called goo.gl. And what goo.gl allows you to do is take a long URL. So Google, whenever you have a Google Doc or slideshow or anything, look at this long, super long link, right? So you wouldn't put this up on the board and have kids try to type this thing in. Goo.gl, if I copy this and I go over here to a new tab called goo.gl, it lets me take this very long link and shorten it. So I gave you a link before, right? And it looked like a goo.gl. That's a short link to a very long URL. Well, and there's an extension. I'm going to close this for a sec. There's an extension on my Chrome browser here called, it's the same thing, that allows me to, let's see if I can blow it up. Maybe not. Whoops. That allows me to make a short link to my presentation here right on the fly. And so I can put in, like when I'm sharing things with students, just like I put in the Hangout chat for you to open this presentation, I can just paste these or I can put them up on the board, and it's just a much easier way for kids to get information. This also has a QR code generator, so if you have kids with iPads or phones and you want them to scan in your presentation, you can do that too. So that's a really cool little tool. So again, that works inside of Google Chrome. Another one that I use is called OneTab. And what OneTab does is when you're working with Google, you will have a lot of tabs open, a lot. And so OneTab allows you to take, I'll show you on this screen, all of your tabs and zoom them down into a list. And this list is actually HTML, or you can also click on any of these. So you'll see I was reading Trevor Mackenzie's work on Dive into Inquiry. If I click this link, it will take me to that page that was open. I have too many tabs and my browser starts slowing down, clicking my extension 1 tab will push them all down into this list. The other thing that's cool is these lists are shareable, so you can share them as a web page. You can actually give them a name if you want to. Oops. So you can share these lists of links with your kids if you want to, or your teacher or whatever. So that's pretty helpful. And then my last one is Note Anywhere. And Note Anywhere allows you to leave a sticky note on a page. So you can have your kids, so let me go to this. See, here's an example. So you can actually add sticky notes to a web page, and whenever you come back to that web page, the sticky notes will stay there. They're in your account. Okay, so any questions so far about Chrome? Or is everybody muted? We okay? Should I keep going?
Yeah, I think
Yes?
we're good. I muted myself just because at this point, I don't know what's going into your microphone. So
Okay.
I feel good. Are you guys good? Yeah,
Okay.
we have nods.
Okay, then I will keep going. You still seeing my screen? I'm going to assume yes, unless I hear differently.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is Google Drive. And Google Drive actually works just like a hard drive. It allows you to store all kinds of things in there, not just Google Tools either, which is kind of nice. So it works like a filing cabinet. It's also the starting point for docs, slides, forms, sheets, draw, and a lot more. Now in Google Drive, you'll notice that there is a folder with a triangle on it. So my drive is sort of like going to the library where there are 10 million books in there. It's kind of overwhelming at first. And so I really recommend starting to learn to use folders, because folders, and I'm going to go out of here again, and I'm going to go into my actual drive here. So I'm just going to switch over to my drive. So if you look at my drive here, you'll notice this triangle right here. If I flip that down, you'll see that there are all kinds of folders in here. Okay, and so when I click my drive, I get all of my files. Okay, and if I click on the triangle and pick one folder, I get the stuff that's in that folder. If there's a triangle on the outside of a folder, that means there are more folders in it. So you can have folders in folders in folders. I'm going to talk a little bit more about filing when we get to docs. So you can, there's a lot of parts to Drive. So for example, if I click here on my Minecraft folder, you'll notice that Drive changes a little bit, and that over here on the right-hand side, you can, so again, I've clicked this Minecraft folder. I can get a link to that folder. I can share it with somebody. I can trash it. And the stoplight shows me other things that I can do. So I can change the color of my folder. I can star it so that I can search quickly. I can move it to another folder, and I can rename it, or I can download it. And then over here, I can sort by So right now I am sorted by grid view, but I can change that so it's just a list. Okay. I use grid view a lot because, as you can see, it gives me a little preview of what some of these files look like. And then over here on the I is called the activity monitor, and that shows me who has been editing the documents in this folder. So I sort of know, and this is great when you're working, when you have students passing in work. If you use the activity monitor, you can actually, it shows who's done the last editing. So you can see if multiple students have been working on a document or not. So that's pretty helpful. Then the other thing is in the list under my drive is shared with me. So that is all the files that have been shared with me that I do not own. Okay, so I may have editing privileges, I may have viewing privileges to those files. It's, again, can be quite overwhelming. And so one of the things I've sort of taught myself is I don't look at shared with me very often. I try not to. And again, I'll talk to you a little bit more about filing later. But I really try to teach myself, if someone shares a document with me, I try to file it immediately because it gets pretty messy in the shared with me folder. Under new is where you find all your apps. So you'll see that this goes from docs, sheets, slides. There's more, forms, drawings, maps, sites, and on and on and on. What else? Oh, and then starred. So starred items are items that I use a lot. And so these particular documents, it's the same thing as in Gmail. You can star them to get to them quickly. Okay, I'm going back to my slideshow here. Oh, okay, one other thing. So you want to know your icons. So let me switch to list view here. So it's really important that as you use Google Drive that you get really familiar with the pictures in Google Drive. So for example, folder, and a folder with a person means it's shared, okay? A blue piece of paper is a Google Doc. A yellow square is a slideshow. This is a Google Sheet. Let's see if I can find some more. So the other icons are, there's a purple one for a form. There are lots of other icons. So you need to get to know those, because if you notice, and again, I'm sorry, this is teeny tiny, but my pin tabs up here, you see that this small icon is the drive icon. Here's the mail icon. If I open, you'll see here's the Google Hangout. If I go back to my presentation here, you'll see that it's just a yellow icon. It's easy for you to have those visual cues. So get to know those icons as best you can. Okay. Let me go back here. So let's go to Docs now. And Google Docs is stored in your Google Drive, which you've already seen. Google Docs works like a word processor. Multiple people can share, work, and edit at the same time. What's amazing, I think, about Google Docs is you can hyperlink to other materials. You can, there are two tools that I want to play with tonight, and I'm going to copy this right here, or not, maybe. The Explore tool I want to look at, and voice typing. So I have a Google Doc here that I want you all to work on tonight. So, Becca, are you able to type that in? So it would be goo.gl. Let's see if I can. Nope. Sorry. I thought I could blow. I can't seem to blow up when I'm in a. So it's capital V for lowercase s, capital O, capital G, capital H. Lowercase h, I'm sorry. And I'm going to get out of here in a second. Okay, and so what I thought would be fun is if you guys could come in here and we could practice a couple of things. So I don't know if people are able to do that. Let me go back to my Hangout and make sure.
I think we're on our way in, Alice.
Okay, great.
I'm going to open up a new tab. The rest of you guys, are we good? Getting to the document with the link that's in the chat bar?
Yeah, it's right. You should be able to see it now.
Ooh, let's see. I guess G-O-O-G-O. Do you mind posting that again, Alice?
It's right on the screen right now.
Is that an O or a 0?
I think it's an O, but it might be a 0. Probably
Okay.
is. Actually, it probably is a 0.
I think it's a 0.
This is the one annoying part about Goo. We need to get rid of O's, zeros, L's, and ones.
It's a 0.
It's a 0.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a 0.
thanks.
Thanks for catching that, Nate. And we're good.
So you'll see that, and Kelsey, I'm not calling you out, but when Kelsey came in, her icon is here, and I could see her start typing. Becca's in there. So, and I could see your names come in on the document. So this to me is like the greatest thing ever, frankly. That we can all get together tonight and we can all take turns or work together in one document. So grab a number and you're gonna write your name next to it and write one fact that you would like the class to know about you. Really? Cool.
And
Nice.
that is a true story, guys. I kept them in these giant stacks in my closet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you said find something new.
There you go. Okay, so cool. So we have some international folks, some folks with experience. Nice.
So
And
wait,
a
what I'm
Disney-
taking away here?
Pardon me?
Sorry. No, I was just going to say we have a lot of travelers.
Yes.
One drinking cup collector and a Disney princess. So
Nice.
we're a diverse group. I love it.
Yes, very nice. So just a couple things here that I wanted to show you. So most of you have probably used a word processor or Google Docs, But I just want to make sure that people know. I'm going to click here by number 3. A couple of really good tools. The first one is voice typing. And if you're not familiar with this will save you for all those papers you have to write in the next few months. So voice typing allows you, you're going to have to authenticate it if you're doing this on your own machine. But it will put a little window will pop up and say, is it okay to use the microphone? Now, when I click this, it is going to actually record my voice, period. And for each thing that I say, it works pretty darn well, period. Carriage return, sorry. Well, usually it'll say a return, period. And what I have found is that this works really well in a very noisy classroom, and for your students who do not type well or are afraid of typing, this voice tool seems to work very well, period. So that's here under Tools, Voice Typing. You can do a return. I don't know why it didn't tonight, but you can do a carriage return in there, and it does all kinds of punctuation. So that's one tool. The other tool I would like you to know is that you can have fonts, right? Down at the bottom of the fonts are more fonts, and this takes you to a nice little window with lots of fun choices in it. There is a website called fonts.google.com that will show you all of the fonts, but you can pick any of these and add them to your font list. So if you're teaching elementary school, the teachers really like those fonts. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was this little star down at the bottom called Explore. This is pretty new. And what this does is open up a window that tries to help you with things like research. So you'll notice that it picked up some research by, it says writing by hand is slower and more cumbersome than typing. That's because of what I said back here. It also tries to find me images that work with my paper. So if you're actually writing your paper, you can use the Explore button to come in and actually do research right from within this window. So I could come in here and I could type Florida, right, and get, obviously, I get websites, I get images, and then it will look in my Google Drive as well to see if there's anything in my drive related to the search topic. Now here's the cool part. I can take any of these images and just drag them into my document. And the citation is right at the bottom of it. I can use the handles here and make it smaller. I can wrap text around them or not. So this makes it pretty darn easy to get images into your document quickly and easily based on what you're doing research on. So this is nice because you're not sending kids out on the web to roam around kind of all over the place. So that's relatively new in there, and that's called Explore. So if I back out of it or exit, it sits down here at the bottom. And the other thing is now in comments, I can put a plus Becca. Is that the right one, Becca? Well, it doesn't matter really. But what I can do is I can say, please make sure to add your research about Florida. And then you'll see right here that it says assign to Becca Redmond. If I check that box off and click assign, we'll actually send Becca an email, and she will get that comment with a link to this document for her to be able to work on it. And then she can just check it off when she's done. So that's a pretty cool little tool if you're working with somebody else on a project or you have a team. We use this in our technology team all the time. We take group notes and then we assign the tasks in the notes, and it makes it much easier. We get a lot done. Okay.
I was sorry, I was just about to comment that the assigned comment, that's actually a new feature that, or not a new feature, I didn't know about that, and I can't wait to use it with my media team because we work on collaborative projects, and sometimes the different comments and to-dos get sort of lost. So I'm really glad that you shared that because I know it's something I will use probably tomorrow.
Good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great tool. So do I need any other questions, or you want me to keep going for a little bit? You guys good? It's really hard to know because I can't see anybody when I'm presenting. So
yeah, everybody seems okay. I was going to
Questions?
ask, is there any particular, I know Alice, you're flexible. I think we're all fairly flexible here. Is there any particular element of the Google Apps that we're using for the course that you might have questions about that perhaps either of us could answer? Or
I thought I knew a lot about these, but apparently I didn't.
that's what Alice will do to you. All sorts of things that you didn't know that Google could do. I'm
You're
learning right here with you. Absolutely.
It makes a research paper just that much easier.
Yeah.
Because you can literally, what she did with the picture, you can actually do with your bibliography. And you can literally write your whole bibliography
Last year.
in certain
that's cool.
type of bibliography that you're trying to write. It'll put it in alphabetical order. It'll literally pull it off the internet and put it on your paper.
I've used Drive for my high school internship, and I liked it because it kind of holds students more accountable for their work. And like, you can't do the like, oh, well, Jess wasn't in school, so I couldn't, and you know, you can send them comments right away instead of having to wait for a face-to-face interaction for them to get, which I also with Google Classroom, you know, the return with comments, I feel like is so helpful because then you don't have to spend 20 minutes in class with your students going over, you know, you need to do this, this, and this.
All right, so I guess Alice, you want to keep going for a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, I have maybe 8:30,
Yep.
8:45-ish as a
Yep.
cap.
Okay.
It's too bad Billy couldn't join us, but again, you all have Alice's contact info. Billy and I are available for any advanced questions. But Alice, I appreciate your time, and we'll give you more. All right.
Okay, so let's just talk quickly about sharing then, just to be sure everybody's really clear. So in the corner of the Google Doc or whatever you're working in, there is this share button up here. And just to be, so every document has a unique link. And to me, this is the power of Google Docs. And something you may want to explore when you're taking this class is a term called HyperDocs. HyperDocs is, it's 3 women who are Google certified innovators who've come out with this sort of model for making standalone documents where there is a starting Google Doc with lots of pictures and links in it so that kids can work at their own pace. And it allows you to tie, because everything has a link, it allows you to tie in all kinds of media. So you can tie in other Google Docs. You could have the kids take a quiz in a form. You could have them link to a YouTube video. So this notion of linking is extremely important. And then, because you can invite other people to work on a document, they can be editors or viewers, right? And so the change button gives you options for sharing down at the bottom here. So you can come in here. I'm sorry, change button is right here. So in the University of Maine system, one of the great things is that you have 5 levels of sharing. And so just to be clear, the starting from the bottom working up, specific people is only the people who have sharing access can share. If I go to anyone at the University of Maine system, then you have to be a part of that system in order to view or edit the document. But the reason that there are 2 levels there is the second from the bottom one is not searchable. In other words, people at the University of Maine cannot search for the document. But the one in the middle, University of Maine system, anyone can find and access, that is a searchable document. So the analogy I use with teachers is, if you have, let's say you have your list of supplies, you might want people to be able to search for that in your school district versus maybe field trip information. You might not want people to be able to search for that. And then finally, the top 2 links, anyone with the link is anybody, so not just the University of Maine. Anyone with the link means that it's not a searchable document, that you have to have the link to be able to see it. And then public on the web is just that. So a web page that you create for your class, you want public on the web so people can find and search it. So that's, there's a link on this page to more on sharing settings for more of an explanation. But the reason that I bring sharing up is because you can use Google Docs as web pages. And I'm going to show you a little example here. This is a very rudimentary example, but here's a newsletter done in a Google Doc. Okay, and so because you can make tables in here, you can put pictures. I just showed you how to put pictures in. You can add links to your document. So all of this stuff, and you can talk, right? You can translate. All of these things, if you make this document, either anyone on the link, anyone with the link can view, you can create your class newsletter and send it home to parents, and they can view it, which means you can have your students be a reporter or a photographer, and you can all work on this together and then be able to send the link home, and the parents don't have to log in, and they don't have to mess around trying to get the information. Such a huge, powerful way to make your classroom transparent and let people see what's going on inside. Probably that in and of itself has probably changed our school drastically, because parents know what's happening in our classrooms. Our kids do a lot of the work, and it's been very successful. So I'm going to stop there because it's 8:26 and see if you guys have any more questions. I could go on, as I said, for days about, I've put some information about Google Draw. That's one of the tools that doesn't get used very much. That's kind of a fun tool if you haven't had a chance to use that. What else? Oh, I did a little bit about forms. Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to check one more time while we're here. Any questions about classrooms or communities? And I suppose I could throw that out for those who will watch later. You know, Alice, Billy and I really built on last year where we weren't tethering classroom with communities. And as a result, I think we talked about this, the chats for the different modules became very confusing.
Yep.
So now we've incorporated communities, but we're finding there are a lot of different, seemingly different variables to kind of like tie in. And I wonder if you have any tips or advice on how to like see the deep integration of Google Apps and how they actually work, you know, rather seamlessly together. I believe I used the term earlier. I said to one of you, it might have been Nate, harmonious workflow. Is it just a matter of getting familiar with Google Apps?
I think the two probably most important Google tools would be Classroom. Classroom is the anchor. Always starting from Classroom, always going to Classroom to figure out what's next. And then I think Google Docs, Docs/Drive. Yep. Docs, because it's such a flexible tool and lets you do so much. And then Drive is your storage. So everything's going to stay in Drive. So make sure you know how to organize in Drive. But Drive can do things. Drive can do things like you can store video in Drive, right? And still share it. You can put pictures in Drive and be able to share them. You can put a whole folder of stuff in there and be able to share it. So Drive is really powerful for organizing. Docs is your probably the most important tool, and then Classroom to keep it all in the box. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And just this year, I've realized more how using Classroom can save me so much time to focus on the important things of teaching. Yeah. Whereas last year, Billy and I, we made individual grade sheets for every single student. And we copied it and we changed the name, and then we copied it and changed the name, and took so much time. And this year we realized it would be so much more efficient to just use Classroom to send a grade sheet to everyone. And you know, I hope when you're in your own classrooms, you'll find, you know, there's so much efficiency with using Classroom to send a document to every student and have it then sorted into folders for every student that you do not need to take the time to create. Because I feel like those housekeeping obstacles often hold teachers back from taking risks with new tech organization systems. And I feel like Classroom and Drive together really make that a lot easier. Would you agree, Alice?
Yes, absolutely. And to go along with that, there's a new release in Classroom this week that's come out that lets you individualize assignments for students. So you can make an assignment and only give it out to one student or a couple of students. And then there are tools that also work within Drive. So for example, one is a formative assessment tool called Pear Deck, works right inside Google Classroom. I keep saying Drive. And I think what Becca just said is for you to be able to create a document and then have Classroom assign it to each of your students with their name on it and the sharing privileges that you want on it, so that then they can turn it into you, is huge. That will save you so much time.
And building on Pear Deck, sort of seemingly sort of synchronously with the Classroom assigned to individual kids option, Pear Deck over the summer released an option to do student pace mode. So you can actually differentiate your Pear Decks and then assign them to different students. Sorry. So I think those two features work really nicely together.
Yeah.
Other questions or final comments, Alice, before we wind it down? It's getting a little late.
No, thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. I know Billy and I would love to have you again. We probably do a whole course.
I'm actually
introducing Alice to talk about Google.
I'm actually teaching a course at USM this summer that is just Google Tools. So I just got it approved. Woohoo! So yes, you can teach an entire course on Google very easily. And anyway,
That's excellent. And actually, I'm currently taking a Google Tools class with my tech director, Michael Richards. So hopefully I'll be using things that I learned in that class in EDU 300 to,
Great.
apply those skills. So
That's
I think
great.
it's all like learning at different levels together. Anyway, Alice, thanks for taking the time, and I will see you at EdCamp on February 4th.
Yeah, I will. I will see you there. And
All
hopefully
right.
some of you guys too. And it was great to meet you all. Good luck with the class. Becca's a great teacher, so you'll have a great time. And Billy
All right.
too, I should say. Billy's a great teacher too. So you'll love
Kelly's a
having
good
them.
man. I don't know. He's in San Diego. He had parent meetings, so we'll
Okay.
pardon him this time. All right. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.